Hey, Southsiders, I want to put this premise forward to you tonight. There are two types of good. There's good and there's God's good. Which are you choosing in your everyday faith and following of Christ? James, in James chapter 4, verse 17 says, "Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin." Now, he's specifically talking about sins of omission when we know we should do that which is good and we choose not to. However, there is an argument to be made biblically about the fact that there are two types of good, and we often move from one to the other in our everyday faith and lives with the Lord. And I'll illustrate it this way. There is good that we choose and we allow in our lives that's subject to our definition of good. And then there is God's good, which is subject to his sovereignty, his authority, his holy written word, which is a godly good that he always has at heart for us and our best interests. How many Christians settle for what they perceive as good, unknowingly going against that which is God's good for a relationship, a situation, a behavior, a lifestyle choice, not knowing that they're stepping out from underneath the umbrella of God's sovereignty, his authority in their lives, in our lives as believers, and contradicting even perhaps scriptural truth. So there's two types of good. There is good that's subject to our definition, or there's good that is subject to God's definition. And which are we choosing? Because the more consistently we choose God's good, the more blessed we are going to enjoy his goodness in our lives and all our relationships and all our endeavors, one day at a time, living for the Lord in his glory, serving him with our lives. I'll use the example of Eve in the Garden of Eden, when the serpent, Satan, possessing the serpent, tempted Eve at the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He did not deceive her with evil. He deceived her with that which the tree represented was good. She looked at the fruit, that it was good and pleasant to the eyes, that it was good to make one wise. He deceived her by causing her to choose something that in and of itself looked good, appeared good, was good, but it was outside the parameters of God's word. And therefore, it was sin. So there's two types of good. God give us grace to ask ourselves, is this my good that I perceive for my life? Or is this God's good for my life? For this relationship, for this situation, for this lifestyle choice? And if we ask ourselves that in those crossroads of decision, it'll give us grace, and God will be able to lead us to choose his good, not just our own. Because sometimes our good is in conflict with God's perfect will and his perfect good for our lives. I hope God's word is an encouragement to you with this today. I want to invite you to continue to be faithful as we're moving toward the summer. We look forward to seeing you in God's house this Lord's Day. I do want to mention some of the updated requests that we updated on the prayer list before we go to the Lord in prayer. We want to pray for Sue Morris. This is Karen Chabot's sister, and she is recovering from a hip surgery. I believe Karen was traveling this week to encourage her. Pray that God's healing will take place in her health and with her life as she recovers from that surgery. We also want to pray for Mary Vaught. She's recovering from injuries sustained in a severe car wreck this past week. This is Linda Como's sister. They asked that we lift her up in prayer. She looks like she's going to need some surgeries and has a long road for recovery. So lift Mary up before the Lord for healing through the car accident and her recovery as well. Remember all our missionaries, that God will bless them wherever they're at, here in the States or on the mission field, serving God where he's planted them. Remember our military, that God will bless during this time of armed conflict. especially for our military men and women related to our church and our church family, that God will protect them and provide for them as they serve God and country for us. So let's go to the Lord in prayer, remembering many of these requests. God bless you, Southsiders, and let's keep living God's good above our own. And when there's a conflict, let's choose God over what we perceive good, and let's watch God bless in our lives. Look forward to seeing you Sunday in God's house. Have a blessed week. Let's go to the Lord in prayer.